You're doing pitch deck doctor workshops for our founders constantly. Let's talk about the most common things that you're seeing these days when they come in. What are you seeing in pitch decks that you think founders should know about before they even show up?
You bet. So first thing first, whenever I ask a founder, give me your pitch, just your pitch as a whole. The first thing they'll do is they'll tell me exactly what the product does, which is a giant miss 100% of the time. If the first words out of your mouth as a founder are, this is what my product does, you've already lost. That's already a crappy pitch. What does that mean? You just assumed when you started explaining to me what the product does, that I understand what problem it solves, that I understand why anybody even needs that product to begin with. You completely overlooked the setup. The right way to do it is to say, here is the size and severity of the problem. In the US, passengers are spending $75 billion a year to ride in taxis that are unclean, hard to find with unfair pricing. What did I just set up? That's essentially Uber, right? That was Uber's pitch back in the day. But before I tell you what Uber is, first thing I do is I say it's a $75 billion problem. Because by the way, Ed, you know that as the founder. How the hell would I know that as your audience unless you told me? And without giving me an idea of how juicy this market is, why would I care? For all I know, 8 people have this problem.
This goes to assuming, like you said, inside language. The investor has domain expertise. But I'm going to push this even further. Real common mistake that I see is they say, Monday.com doesn't work. I'm like, I've never used Monday.com. They say, and here's all the reasons it doesn't work. It sucks. And we're the Monday.com killer. I'm like, I've never used Monday.com.
I had one a couple of days ago. 2 Harvard PhDs. These guys, their credentials were off the charts. Researchers and doctors that had come up with a far more efficient way to treat cancer. And they said, right now, the cost of cancer is about $500,000 for a single patient. We can bring that cost down by orders of magnitude through this treatment. And I said, cool, I like that. I heard cost is expensive. Now it's cheaper. I still have no idea how many people that affects. I still have no idea why the current treatment cost $500,000. You can't just say it costs $500,000 and not tell me why. So we dug into it. And I said, tell me why it's $500,000. It's, oh, well, okay. There's 28 people that are involved in it. They're all different specialists. The logistics between them are insane. And we help condense the logistics. I was like, you literally didn't say a thing about any of that. How would I have known that? And they're like, wow, I guess, we've just known that all along. So we kind of forgot to say it. And so when you're asking, what are some of the biggest challenges? One of the biggest challenges is you totally forget that your audience doesn't know what you know. I'll give you another example. When we were running this company called Affordit.com that allowed you to buy stuff with weekly payments, we went out to the market. We went to VCs. This was so eye-opening. And we said that basically our solution in this case is we want to allow people to buy products using weekly payments. And the average price point's about a $400 purchase. And the VCs looked at us like we had 2 heads. And they're like, why the hell would anybody want to finance something that's only $400? Like, why don't they just use a credit card? And I was like, do you know that 40 million people in the US are unbanked? No, why would they know that? Why would they know that, right? Plus, they're Ivy League VCs. These guys have never even had a part-time job, right? They have no idea how any of this works. But I walked in with the assumption, because I grew up as a poor kid, so I just assumed other people knew this. I walked in with the assumption that, of course, you'd know that that's a big price point for many people. We had to modify our pitch deck to basically say, and I'm paraphrasing because it's ridiculous, hey, rich guy, do you know that poor people exist? It's amazing. It's amazing. And that was the only way we could get the message across.
But Will, I only want to talk to investors that get it. I only want to talk to investors that understand my vision and what I'm all about and have direct expertise in my industry because they're smart money. What do you say to that?
Yeah, I say that it's your job to be the expert, not them, right? They need to be an expert in investing money. You need to be an expert in your particular product or your domain. This is actually a huge challenge for people like the Harvard guys that I just mentioned that are highly technical. And again, it's not their fault. This is just new to them. That's why we do what we do at Startups.com to help translate this. So good ideas like that can find their target. But as an investor, remember, I can't be an expert in everything. You've been thinking about this thing for 3 years. I've been thinking about it for 3 minutes. How could I possibly have the domain expertise that you have? And out of nowhere, picked all of this up and be able to go 0 to 100. It does happen sometimes. I'll be honest, it does happen. Sometimes the person you're pitching has a tremendous amount of domain expertise in exactly what you do. But if you're planning your whole fundraise around that specific target, good luck.
You're taking a massive risk of
You don't
basically
need to.
eliminating 99 out of 100 investors to go find that one, when maybe 20 of them said, wow, this makes a lot of sense. I've got referrals, or let me take this to someone who knows. You don't want to play that game.
Right. Also, to your point, investors will bring in other expertise where they can, but you're missing the point as the startup, which would be, hey, you have to get to that point. If you bring a pitch in, I used to see this with crypto all the time. If you bring in a pitch that's over my head to begin with, I don't even know what you're talking about. So I don't even know why I would bring someone else in, because I still have no idea what you're talking about. Our job as founders is to take a really complex concept or conversation and turn it into just 12 words that a 12-year-old could understand, like just the most basic concept.
I want founders to understand that investors do have an investment thesis. Let's say they want to be in deep tech, medical, healthcare, or Web3, crypto, things like that. But I'll give an example. Maybe we're talking about the same company here. But this founder told me, Ed, did you know that solving cancer or radiation therapy, chemotherapy, is all about tissue damage? It's the tissue damage that causes people to die, not the actual cancer after they get treated. And I was like, I had absolutely no idea. And he said, if you can minimize the tissue damage and just treat the cancer, because tumors move and machines aren't accurate. I was like, you got to be kidding me. That's the coolest thing ever. Now, I could be an investor that cares about treating cancer, but now what the founder has done is give me a novel insight into the problem that I did not know, that gets me excited.
I can't wait to make this investment. I have no idea what this person's talking about, right? Said no one ever. Our job as the founder is to make our concept something everyone can understand. If we're going out there and just overwhelming people with complexity, we are not doing our job.
But how do founders break out of that? Like, they're in their own heads. They got confirmation bias. They can't see the forest for the trees. Like, what are you telling founders? What would be your best suggestion to get out of your own headspace?
Present it to other founders, right? And not even present it to other people who aren't founders. Present it to other founders, mainly because other founders can immediately tell when you're not telling the story properly because they've had to do it themselves. So I find this all the time, right? So when I present my concepts to friends of mine who aren't founders, I get decent feedback, and they're smart folks, right? But when I present it to founders, they have that next level where they're saying, okay, I think I understand the concept, but more importantly, I understand how pitching works. And here's where I'm not getting the pitch. We do this every week in my pitch deck workshop, where we have a group of founders come in. In each of the workshops, we'll have a founder present their deck in current form. And it's always hilarious. And I prepare folks for this. I said, listen, however good you think your deck is, and it's not a bad deck, otherwise we wouldn't be presenting it, you're going to find out that when you present it to real humans, their eyes are crossed. They have no idea what you're talking about, right? And this is, at first, it's heretical for founders to hear this. Like, you've got to be kidding me. That's insane. And then almost at halfway through their first sentence as they're pitching it, every time I see them go, son of a bitch. and here's what I do as the setup, right? I have them take whatever slide. It could be a market size slide, a problem slide, whatever. And I say, you get 30 seconds to just explain, what's on the slide. And then I stop. And then I say, okay, everybody in the room, what did you think this slide said? And 0% of the time does anybody repeat what the founder just repeated, right? Every single time they'll look at the total addressable market and they're like, I have no idea what you're talking about, right? And the founder, again, we're trying to help them. We're not trying to, make them feel bad. Everybody's super kind about it. I want to be clear about that. But at the same time, you got to get it out of your head. You've got to see how other people process it. Whether you think it's a good presentation doesn't mean squat. Whether other people think it's a good presentation is what we're shooting for.
This is a great time to share. We're going to do a variation of that. we're literally going to have like open mic pitch fests.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
Pitch sessions, because it's like comedians. I was thinking about this, like comedians. You go to open mic and you bomb your set like crazy. And just all these strangers are like, that was not funny. No, I don't get it whatsoever. And you know what I think is important? And I think we offer this here at Startups.com. We offer an artificial environment for you to bomb and for you to mess it up. That's very forgiving. You'll get feedback, because I guarantee you, investors don't have time to give you feedback. Like, your pitch bombs in the first 30 seconds. They're like, thank you very much, moving along. But we'll actually give that feedback here.
You bet. And it's, again, you mentioned it. We're giving it in a kind manner, right? Not because you need to be coddled, but because we're not here to tear you down or make you feel bad about yourself. Our job is to make you better, not make you cry. And so the investor doesn't care, right? I'm not saying they're all bad people, but their job is to make investments. Whether or not you're prepared is your problem, not their problem. And if you want to try doing target practice with actual investors, it's the hardest and dumbest target you'll ever use. Use it with us. We'll tell you the same exact things investors will say. The difference is you're not going to burn an investor opportunity to get it.